5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How about we do it again?
6, 7, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think I farted.
Okay, let's try one more
I
time.
definitely.
Ready?
I can move you. Making review.
Say 6,
6,
5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another fun-filled edition of Ranknreview. This is the voice of your host and random Canadian Larry Parsons, and I'd like to welcome you to the Puppet Master franchise. Regular host, the Beckmann, and myself are going to talk about 12 Puppet Master movies. It's going to take us a couple of episodes to do this. This is the first installment. We're going to talk about 6 Puppet Master movies, and usually when Lee and I do franchises, Hellraiser, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, I go in already a fan. This is a different beast entirely. I don't even know how many of the Puppet Masters I've actually seen going in. I think I watched maybe the first 1 or 2 back in the day on VHS. So this will all be new to me. And because I don't have that nostalgic attachment, it may not be the love fest that you typically come to expect from us. But let's not jump the gun. I'm not trying to talk you out of anything. I think it will be an interesting conversation, and I do think we do have some fun with it. There will be spoilers for the Puppet Master franchise. There will be swears. There'll be lots of swears. Please send feedback to ranknreview@gmail.com. That's RANKNREVIEW @gmail.com. The website is ranknreview.ca. And let's just do this Puppet Master thing. Thanks for your ears. So I'm not actually sure when this episode's going to be dropping because we're recording it well in advance, but that's okay. This is the first of a 2-part epic exploration into the Puppet Master franchise.
Woo!
A while ago when you were on the show, we had this discussion about how you wanted to curate the show. You're always talking about how...
Okay.
And like I lost my temper and put my foot down.
Oh,
and we had this conversation.
I had forgotten this already.
And since then, you have exclusively only asked to do episodes. Can we do a dinosaur episode? Can we do a Puppet Master episode? So here's the thing. I am doing a Puppet Master episode with you. Okay. You have got your wishes. This is happening. I want you to tell me why.
Okay.
Why are you... No, like... Is there a reason you wanted to do the Puppet Master? Is there something about this franchise that brought you to it, or was it
I hadn't even seen a Puppet Master movie.
Exactly. So is this just... We haven't done it, so let's do it? Or was there a reason you specifically wanted to do Puppet Master?
Because I've been thinking about your show, and I find we do really well when we do either It's So Bad It's Good or a film series. I find we have better chemistry there. So I thought,
let's do... got weirder things to encounter.
Yeah. So I thought, I hadn't seen Puppet Master. I'd sort of also read up on Charles Band, who I sort of knew, but he also brought this also brings me back to the day of the video store.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I remember renting a couple of Puppet Master movies on VHS, probably from 49 Cent Video.
Yeah,
and not feeling the need to return to the franchise. I don't have clear memories of it, to be honest, but I didn't dig deep into it.
Okay.
Now, I can get behind the Charles Band Enterprise, this whole direct-to-video full moon features. Some of them have been quite amusing, but they are extremely hot and cold. You just know that they're micro-budget and they're ambitious. Not only do they make the movies really cheap, but they make high-concept movies that are really cheap. So it's about a guy who's turned really tiny, or it's about killer puppets, or it's something that requires a budget, but that they specifically tackle without a budget, and that they specifically direct right to the home video market of the time. So the first movie starts in 1989, and we catch up to the modern age, but especially from when it's born, it's very much this consciously cheap, cheesy thing.
Yep.
And I think for me, that's a really fine line to walk. You need to have some strong, bold characters that we like and we get behind, or you need to have a pattern, like a Friday the 13th, where we know what we're going to get and you can deliver us these goods.
Yeah.
So I am like you. I'm going into this blind. I'm fumbling in the dark.
Yeah.
But I feel like these movies have to win me over. Whereas if it was something that I had old built-in nostalgia, like the Friday the 13th movies, I'd be here rubbing my fists together saying, Puppet Master, 12 more to go.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But I'm a little bit worried about it. I also got this collection of the first, I want to say 9 Puppet Master movies.
See, this is where I think we, kind of it's the origin of how we got onto this path of how many Puppet Master movies are there?
There's 12. Well, debatable, because there's Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys.
Okay, but
that was
we excluded that.
So then I believe we're at 12.
Oh, we sound like such nerds.
But there's people who debate whether or not that should be tangentially in the fraudulent. But there's 12 of them.
We've signed up for 12?
Yes, 2 full episodes.
Oh.
So,
yay.
Look, and again, these can be fine, but I usually find if I have a built-in relationship with it, it helps me.
Yeah.
So
you know what else?
What do you want then? We don't know what we're gonna get. What do you want?
Yeah. Well, I think because my obsessions with movies, I think that's pretty much well documented. But I discovered Charles Band, also on YouTube, and discovered that. And maybe it's up for a debate, but he sort of started the straight-to-video market, and we were both kids of the 80s. And I remember seeing these full moon movies in the video stores, and I did eventually, rent some, because, there was a cool guy who worked at the video store and let us rent anything. I'd always seen the posters, and I looked into Charles Band, like I said, and he's credited as at least creating that sort of straight-to-video, straight-to-DVD market.
Yeah,
because he made a couple movies in the theaters. Do you remember Metal Storm?
I remember that it exists.
Yeah, I remember seeing the poster first in a movie theater and then in the video store. It was part of that 3D craze. That's him. And he soon discovered that it cost just as much, if not more, to market the movie in theaters and everything than to make them. So he thought, what if I could cut that out and have limited advertisement and straight to the video stores. But
what was happening increasingly, especially with low budget movies, is that they were bombing at the box office.
Yeah.
But they were making their money back at home video.
Yeah.
And because, as you say, distribution and advertising is a large part of the expense.
Yeah.
You skip going to the theaters and go direct to video.
Yeah.
It won't be seen by as many people, but it'll be all profit.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyways, he made that film Parasite with Demi Moore. Did you ever see that one?
Again, I'm aware of it. I've never
seen it either. But yeah, he had a sort of string, and he also created Empire Movies, and that's where some of these films came out. And then went into Full Moon and signed that deal with Paramount Pictures in the late 80s, and had this idea of let's make really cheap, genre horror films, or sci-fi, or even kid films, because he did that, and thus made his millions, and is somewhat of. Not on the level of John Carpenter, even though they had a podcast together for a while. He has created this whole film empire that just doesn't die, whether it's Puppet Master, because there's 12 of them, And then the Evil Bong and Ginger Dead Man. And
No, and if they find a title that works, they milk it for everything they can.
Yeah.
And it's not even just the movies. You can get Puppet Master action figures and Puppet Master
There's
coffee mugs and
T-shirts, socks.
Exactly.
There is a whole legacy of... Do we even know the names of all these puppets?
Well, I don't... Again, this is new. Like, you and I sit here.
Yeah.
I've just freshly watched the first Puppet Master. And
Okay.
we're going to do the introduction and the first Puppet Master. But
Yes.
I still have it ahead of me, so I don't know what I'm exactly in for.
Yeah.
But I do know that with these types of things, trauma movies, sci-fi movies, asylum movies, I feel like they're very much to do with the day that you see them in a lot of times. Like, you have to be in the right mood for it. You have to meet it halfway. You have to kind of know that it's going to be wonky and weird and lo-fi.
Yeah.
And you just have to accept that.
But this is also the same guy that helped make Reanimator. Like, he was part of that. Like,
Sure.
So, he's of that world of, like...
He's a mini Roger Corman. Like,
Yep.
And like Roger Corman did that too, but no one's going to sit there and say that all the movies that Roger Corman did were good. And for every Full Moon movie that was good, there was 5 that were pretty bad, and 2 that were unfucking watchable.
Yep.
So my guess is that there's going to be like that. It'll probably be similar to when we talked about the Leprechaun, in that there'll be a sort of baseline cheese that we'll have to accept. Yep. And there'll be some that we laugh at, some that we laugh with, some that will make us mad, and some that will make us crazy. So I'm hoping that I will be able to have fun with it.
So do I.
Because the idea, I think I said this when Ray Lee and I reviewed the Demonic Toys versus Puppet Master.
Yeah.
If I'm going to watch 12 Puppet Master movies and they're going to be played impossibly straight, this is going to be a long sit.
See, to me, it's all about the journey.
No, and again, I'm not against doing things outside my wheelhouse or outside of my collection.
Sure.
I do have, Lee, over 400 proposed episodes to choose from.
Yep.
But usually if I'm going to go outside my comfort zone, I will, like, we did Blaxploitation.
Yeah.
That was a good pick because it was a blind alley for me. Yeah. And it's not something that I regularly do on the show.
Yeah.
And I think going forward, if you're to insist on us braving new ground, that would be the path that I would encourage you to take.
Okay.
Because just doing it for the sake of doing it. We would have got around to Puppet Master, but I feel like neither of us are excited about it. And I feel like that might hurt us.
Yeah.
Will we defeat Puppet Master? Or will Puppet Master defeat us? But here's my safety.
Okay.
Either way, this is all your fucking fault.
Fine.
We're not going to blame the filmmakers. I'm not going to blame the actors.
Are you saying that I'm pushy? Look, in my defense, since we brought that sort of weird little moment up, I have asked specifically, in your collection, do you have something? Not that I've got an idea.
I really didn't mean for you to take it personally.
I didn't.
I think it's funny that, like I say, that you want to curate the show, and that, again, Puppet Master.
Yeah.
It wasn't about Lee wanting to do Puppet Master. It was about Lee wanting to choose what we did next. So here we are, and this way I can like if I get frustrated, I can
blame me. Okay, fine.
I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah, I think we have.
Is there anything you want to say?
No, I've said all I said. I think about at least Charles Band and how I'm curious about this.
Yeah. Well, at this point, then what I will do is I will splice in the name of all 12 Puppet Master movies.
Okay.
Because I don't have that shit in front of me,
That's
and I
fine.
do not have that shit in my brain.
No. There might be even 20. I don't know if you put it like all the spin-offs, because I don't know.
No, I want to focus on the Puppet Master name.
Yeah.
and I believe there's 12 of them.
Oh my god.
And I believe one of them is written by Craig Zoller.
That is true. That is also true.
And apparently they get into Nazi stuff.
Yeah.
But we're way ahead of ourselves. That's like Puppet Master 8 or 9, probably.
I think 4 is when the Nazis first then show up.
Let's go round 1.
Right.
Here come the first 6 Puppet Masters.
Yay!
Okay, so real quick, real dirty, the 6 Puppet Master movies we're going to be reviewing this episode. Puppet Master, Puppet Master 2, Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge, Puppet Master 4, Puppet Master 5, and wait for it, Curse of the Puppet Master. Thanks for your ears.
House of Mysteries.
This hotel seems to have quite a history, Mrs. Gallagher.
Who are you people?
A research team with special powers
My God.
She's experiencing the past.
Because we are all joined by our thoughts.
has uncovered an ancient secret.
I have something I want to show you.
Metaphysically speaking, I killed myself.
But they are playing with an evil force.
What would you do with the power?
You can't save her, Alex.
They have given life to a deadly power.
We're all in danger.
And now a box of little toys
I think someone's in the room, Frank.
has become a gang of little terrors.
Okay, it's 1989.
Yep.
It was probably in the early 90s, if I'm honest, by the time I personally wandered into the video store and rented Puppet Master on VHS.
Yeah.
But I remembered 2 things about it. I
Okay.
remembered there was a puppet that spit leeches, and
Yep.
that is, in fact, a thing that happens.
Yep.
And I remember it having a really irritating and obtrusive score.
Yeah, yes.
Which-
It's cheesy.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Now, this is 1989, and at the time, these synth scores were used fairly regularly and unquestioned throughout the 80s, even in movies I love, like The Princess Bride and Lady Hawk, and like these.
Yeah.
They're great movies, but the scores sort of kind of tips its hand that it's 80s, and in some cases, it kind of sucks. And this is exactly the kind of score you would hear in a direct-to-video movie at this time, but for some reason, to my ears right now, it really drove me crazy. It was like, when it was on, I wanted it to stop, and when it was stop, everything was too stilted and quiet, but it was like, there was no way to win in that. The story is, a bunch of psychics are invited to this hotel,
Yep.
Bodega Bay Hotel, which is a reference to the Birds, strangely. That's where Bodega Bay is, where the Birds takes place. They're all psychics. They all have this connection to this guy who was trying to find the secret of imbuing life into these artifacts. And the very beginning of the movie, William Hickey, who's the only actor of note in the entire production.
Poo-poo on that. Barbara Crampton. How dare you?
She has a
forget her.
cameo, that's
Yeah.
true. But as far as like the main
Yeah,
cast,
yeah. And sorry to interrupt. Oddly enough, he went from an Oscar nomination from Prizzi's Honor to his
Puppet
very
Master.
next project being like the opening minutes of Puppet Master.
Well, look, that guy looked frail, like he was on his deathbed for the last 30 years of his life. Like, he's just like,
he basically was a walking corpse.
he looked like it. Obviously, he was healthy and spry because he was that way for 30 years.
Yeah.
But he was just one of those people, like Wilfred Brimley looked like he was old from the time he was 30.
Yeah.
It is just one of those people. Anyway, he invented these puppets and he discovered the secret. And when he sees bad people are coming for him, he decides he's going to imbue these puppets with life and take his own life so that his secret dies with him.
Yeah.
I know because I've seen Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys that Toulon blood will become important at some point later on in these. So his bloodline, I think, will come important in future stories.
All right, you already know more than I do.
So that's why I'm one sort of movie ahead. Anyway, so it's an interesting, intriguing setup in ways if you describe it. This guy's imbued life with toys. He takes his own life to keep the secret. Why is he keeping the secret? Why are there people after him? And then why are all these psychics, specifically these people with psychic powers, being summoned to this very empty hotel? It's like you got several different horror movie setups happening all at once. Mm-hmm. And the setup is familiar, but I guess fine. I think it's where the delivery where I sort of have problems with it.
Okay.
I guess going into this movie, I don't dislike it. I just sort of take it for what it is.
Yeah.
The problem that I have walking away from the first Puppet Master movie is that I don't feel like I know what a Puppet Master movie is yet. I don't know what the vibe of it is. I don't know if they're playing it straight. I don't know if they're playing it goofy. Mm-hmm. I don't know, I just don't know enough to know. Even after the first Friday the 13th movie, even though Jason doesn't really appear in the way we expect Jason Voorhees to appear, we walk away from Friday the 13th knowing what a Friday the 13th movie is and what we want from it and what it's going to deliver. Sometimes this movie is funny, sometimes it's absurd, and sometimes it's trying to be scary, but it's all over the place.
Okay, it's totally mad, yeah.
Yeah. So, you're going to roll with it or you're going to not. I was trying to actively like the movie, so I did, but I can totally see a casual viewer finding this tougher. I do think that it's got its fan base, and I don't know how easy it is to grow that, especially when you're starting from this bedrock.
Yeah.
Other horror franchises like Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, even if you haven't seen them, you have this picture in your head of what they are.
Yeah, there's a certain aesthetic and certain...
And you're not usually that far away from it.
Yeah.
Whereas this picture that I'm forming in my head is very fuzzy yet. So I'm a little uncertain, but it's not a thumbs down review. That's where I start on the first Puppet Master.
Yeah, well, I guess I went in also with low expectations as well, and was sort of pleasantly surprised, even though... I could see the limitations of it. I don't want to say it's kind of like a Faustian tale, but I do get a sort of sense that the puppets will be the main draw in how they kill. That so I sort of see kind of like the beginning of a slasher series. But as an exploitation flick, it definitely had all the... As a meat and potatoes, it had its sex, it had its violence, it had its...
The horny psychic, for instance.
Yeah.
Why have we not seen that a lot in horror movies? Right? We always have the psychic. They can touch items and see who owned it, or they can...
And she's usually chased.
Yeah. Or someone died in this room. This girl's trigger is... The typical psychic thing, right? This girl's trigger is...
of the ladies from The Haunting, though.
Right. But this woman's trigger specifically seems to be sex. People had sex in this room, and it lights her up.
Yeah.
And, what a good idea if you're making an exploitation movie using supernatural psychics. I was just one of those things. Yeah. That's a good idea for a character. We should probably have seen that a lot.
Yep.
And we really haven't. So I'm putting points on the board for that character. I don't think it's particularly well executed, but in concept, it's actually pretty strong.
Yep.
Why wouldn't there be? If you have psychic energies, why wouldn't sexuality be one of those energies? So, and then it gives you an excuse for all these highly sexually charged scenes.
Yep.
And the movie keeps on getting sidetracked. I noticed while I was watching it, this is the point of view sequence where we see the puppet running around the hotel in point of view, and it goes on for a really long time, and it's not clear why no one is seeing the puppet. Right?
Yeah.
And this is the scene where we introduce all the different psychic characters, and they each introduce each other, and it goes on for kind of a long time, and that's that whole scene.
Yeah.
And then this is the scene where the two kinky people explain their kink, and we watch them do kinky stuff, and it seems to go on for a really long time.
Yep.
And a lot of those times I'm I'm not bored, but I'm wondering, where are these puppets?
Yep. I guess as well, because I love stop motion animation, which some of it is.
Some of it's quite good.
Yeah, and I was impressed by that. And I have to give credit where credit is due. The moments with Leech Woman, which I find sort of funny because apparently she was disliked so much by a lot of the fans, but she's definitely the creep. Like that, whenever she was on screen and what she could do, I was generally creeped out and thought that was a pretty good monster idea. The villains do suffer stills from the angle of the Chucky problem, where there's just too much unrealistic stuff of A, how could they not be seen, and B, how could they get away with, certain strength. I mean, I know there's the one with the big hands, and I thought that was a good idea.
I assume the big hand one, again, this is not explained to us. We just have to infer that the guy with the big hands, those hands are fucking powerful.
Yeah.
And that the blade guy, that those knives are super sharp.
Yeah.
So he doesn't need to be strong to cut
Yeah.
your throat. He can
Yeah.
just cut your throat.
Yeah.
But again, we don't explain why the dude has big hands and is so powerful. Why the puppet was made with these super sharp blades.
Yeah.
Why the leech movement. None of this is even attempted to be explained.
Yeah.
And yet we spend all the time on the psychics, which end up just being, our sheep.
Yeah.
It seems like the focus should be the puppets, but they can't afford to focus on the
Which
puppets.
also might be, as well, but...
So again, like they're working with their limitations, but these are things that they put upon themselves, right?
Yeah.
I would have liked to have known more about the puppets coming out of the first movie. Like,
Okay.
I know one's named Blade and one's named Leech Lady. I didn't even know the name of the big-handed one yet. Like,
Yeah,
it's
that's
not-
true. Well, did we even... Like, when were if the names were even said?
I think I just knew it. Like,
Yeah,
I somehow
subconsciously?
fell upon that information. But again, these are the things that I would have expected to have gotten into in the
Yeah.
first movie.
Yeah.
And like, are we gonna slowly have the origin story of all the puppets throughout the series? Maybe, I don't know. But knowing who the puppets are and why we're supposed to like them or cheer for them, or what the appeal is, even if they're evil and malevolent, which they seem to be, they're killing off these psychics, but they're doing it for a reason, one thinks, right?
Well, they're being manipulated. I mean, ultimately, they're not the villains of the piece. They're...
And that was the impression I got from the one Puppet Masters thing. I thought that they aren't inherently good or evil. Whoever is pulling their strings,
Yeah.
even though they don't have strings, but whoever is pulling their strings, that's how they'll be. So who knows? Maybe if it was you or I, they would just bring us snacks while we watched movies or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You can do with them whatever you like. The cast is what you would expect from Full Moon Features.
I think there's some like soap actors in there, like our sort of lead.
Paul
here.
Lamont.
Yeah,
He's
looks
got,
familiar. Wasn't he like one of the? I don't think he was the evil sorcerer, but he's in Ghoulies, isn't he?
Oh yeah, well that's another Full Moon Features, so that would absolutely track.
I think he was like one of the sorcerers or
Yeah.
something.
Well, he's got a half mullet. Mullet
Yeah.
was the word I'm looking for in the
Okay.
movie, and he's got a pretty flat delivery. There's a scene where he's supposed to be giving shit to this psychic lady who's being rude at the table.
Yeah.
And he's like, sit down and shut up.
Yeah.
And like, you can tell through this script she's supposed to be admonished and sat down and scolded. But it's so flatly delivered, there's nothing to it.
Oh no, I know. Like the drama is not really taken seriously.
I don't believe him when he's mad. I don't believe him when he's being romantic. I think he's kind of absurd as a lead. I'm sorry, that's how I feel.
That's a fair criticism.
And really, like, we have spent large portions of the movie away from him.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
he has a psychic vision of leeches on him early in the movie, but that never comes to fruition, at least not to him. It happens.
Well, it's sort of a... okay, yeah.
Yeah. And his psychic visions happen while he's asleep, typically, so... he's a witness. He's one of these protagonists who's just there, like us, to watch what happens more than to participate in any way.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. What can I say? I didn't hate it.
That is low praise.
Yeah. I did like, it was good to see Barbara Crampton, although it is a cameo, and man, she has been in a lot. That was the other thing I sort of, thought about that made me at least want to sort of attempt Puppet Masters. Just like, this is the same woman who's worked with Brian Usna and Stuart Gordon, and
I mean, I'm sure it was just, we can get Barbara Crampton for a
yeah.
day, so let's do it.
Yeah.
But with all of these, like, walk-on roles, I figure if you're going to get Barbara Crampton in your movie, use her. Use her. Like, maybe if you only have her for a day, try and be creative with it. But, like, it's sort of like, I love the movie, but the House of the Devil.
Mm-hmm.
Dee Wallace is in House of the Devil.
Mm-hmm.
For 2 minutes, she rents the apartment to the girl at the beginning of the movie, and then she's gone from the movie. Didn't need to be Dee Wallace. It really didn't matter. It was Dee Wallace because they could get Dee Wallace. And the same with here. like, you can do that, and it's kind of nice for us genre people to see her and wave. Yeah. But I'm increasingly, the more I see that, the more I see, look, that's great that you had Bruce Campbell for a scene. But it would have been better if you had Bruce Campbell and you did something.
Yeah.
So, but again, this movie is working on such a little budget. I saw her, I smiled, and the movie moved on, and I missed her when she was gone.
Yeah, yeah.
But she doesn't hurt the movie with her presence. I'm always glad to see her.
Yeah. I did sort of, like, there was moments where there was a real creep factor that I really enjoyed. Like, even though it's a dream sequence, the bit with him in the bed and, like, the heads and everything, I thought, I mean, not original, but at least well done.
Yeah, he sees all the murder victims' severed heads under the blankets.
I see potential. That's what I said.
It's weird because it didn't achieve fear at any point to me.
No, there were some creepy moments. Like, I thought the sequence with the leech one were at least impressive.
But, like, it's sort of like comedy. When you're trying to scare me and failing, I can feel the movie not working.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I feel this affection for it. Like, I like what you're trying to do there.
Yeah.
But my gut tells me that these movies would do better to be over the top and silly and goofy.
Yep.
And they haven't quite landed there yet, if they are going to. I just assumed it because I like looking at the titles of these Third Reich puppet movies. Like, please tell me that these are goofy, stupid movies. Fucking please tell me these are goofy, stupid movies.
Yes.
And I just wish that I had a better idea of the identity of the franchise than I do after watching the first movie.
Okay.
Because I feel like I don't know where we would be going from here. Like, it could be anywhere and anything, right?
Yep. I don't know. It was just there. That's where I'm ultimately... like I said, there's little snippets of the movie I liked. I liked certain puppets. I do think they still suffer from the Chucky problem a little bit. Is like they find themselves in moments where...
They have to have the character tied to a bed.
Yeah.
And helpless because the puppets can't physically overcome them.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to find ways to do that for 12 movies because I don't believe that they're physically threatening on their own.
No, they have to be a lot more stealth, and there was chances for that to be. It's a competently made movie. I don't know what else to say.
It does the job fine, and again, like, this is a horror completist. Sort of thing. So, like, if you haven't got around to the Puppet Master movies and you want to know this is what you're getting yourself into. Maybe if you saw it when you were 13 for the first time.
Yeah. I do think the actors know exactly what kind of movie they're making, which is fine. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And again, I don't need to shame them. I'm just not sure why, like, if someone would have told me, if there was no other Puppet Master movie, if I just watched this one today, and someone was to tell me, they're going to make 11 sequels to this, I would be like, really?
Well, I do hope they do a lot more, like, with the stop motion animation. Like, what could these puppets do? Because there's lots of potential. Not only with Leech Woman, but Blade obviously is throughout the film.
And I feel like that's going to be our highlight reel. What we're going to be watching is the 8 minutes or so of puppet action that we're going to get.
But is that wrong, Larry?
No, that's what we're here to see. But you better, if that's all we're going to get, you better deliver. I'm giving it like an unenthusiastic thumbs up. It's a 2.5-star review.
It's also mercifully short.
Yeah, but I'm not throwing I'm not saying this is a waste of time. Like, we've got a journey, and this is the first step.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, especially with a TV series, first few episodes when you revisit them, completely weird. The characters aren't defined yet. We don't know.
It hasn't found itself.
And that's where I'm approaching this right now.
Okay.
We've got the idea, we've got the puppets, but we haven't quite landed on our vibe yet.
Okay.
And I'm anticipating.
Okay.
The Puppets of Andre Toulon. First, they made you smile. And then, they made you die. Blade. Pinhead. Jester. Leech Woman. And Tunneler. Now the show has begun again. And this time, their master is back. From beyond the grave.
You brought me back.
And Andre Toulon is proud to present the newest addition to his terrifying troupe.
You may think you got the powers of hell on your side.
Torch. They thought they could unlock Toulon's secrets.
It's amazing.
But what these researchers have opened,
No one can escape.
We're all in danger as long as we remain in this house.
is a Pandora's box of death.
So, in 1990, we got Puppet Master 2 from director David Allen, and Charles Band is still credited as a writer, but there are 2 other writers as well. I guess everything that I wanted from the first movie as far as explaining the origins of the puppets, who made them and why, actually finally happened in this movie. And I suppose if I was to describe to you the plot points, bunch of, again, psychic people or researchers are at this same hotel, but now a resurrected Toulon, being resurrected by the puppets, is harvesting their brain matter so that he can put his soul into a full-size living doll puppet and live an eternal life that way.
Yeah.
But he also believes the head researcher is like the reincarnation of his previous wife. So you got puppets, you got dolls, you got the psychic investigators, you got the hotel, you got people being picked off, and it's super boring.
Yep.
It's super boring.
Yeah.
And like again, I was really hoping going into the second one, like, that it was going to find its feet more, or I was going to come out of it knowing more what a Puppet Master movie is. And if this is more what a Puppet Master movie is, then I'm getting a little bit grumpy at number 2 of 12.
Yeah.
But the bad stuff that I can say from the first movie is largely still present. The music is identical and has the same weird thing where it's either overlaying everything and it's oppressive and you can't stand it, or else it's not there and the movie seems so quiet and aimless that like you're falling asleep.
Okay, it wasn't as annoying though. I was sort of worried in the beginning because the Puppet Master theme song is really not good.
No, and they really seem to go to the well a lot with it.
Yeah.
And it's not paying off in any kind of way for me.
But at least it was a little more background. It wasn't as predominant, I sort of felt.
The movie feels slightly more professional than the first one, just a year later. Like, it's got more polish. The puppets look better. The cinematography generally looks better.
Yeah.
But the feel and pace of a no-budget, no-energy movie is there.
Yeah.
And it's not the budget that's hurting the movie. It's the energy. It's the way scenes just fucking lie there. And again, if it was having more goofy fun, then I would laugh along with it. But it's so plainly played, just completely straightly, that I can't even laugh and shrug and say this is so goofy and fun, because it's so dour and straight-faced in spite of its overt lunacy. I guess we have to say at this point that the Puppet Master series exists in a different world. A world where people don't feel emotions the way people feel emotions in this world.
That's true, yeah.
Because you're investigating this hotel with your friend and your brother. The lead psychic that you bring along instantly disappears, and your brother is murdered by a puppet.
Yeah.
There's no, did he get killed by a puppet? You know for a fact a puppet bore a hole through your brother's forehead.
We live in a world where that exists.
They don't even so much as call the police. They cover his body and they put it either in the basement or the refrigerator of the hotel, and they continue their business. The psychic son shows up to investigate what's happened to his missing mother and is way more interested in dipping his dick than he is in, like, finding out what happened to his mother. There are no stakes, there's no reality, and no real relationship unless it's going to, lead to a sexual encounter. But you can have sex with someone, but you won't care about that person when they die. And if the characters in the movie don't give a fuck about each other. I don't know how anyone expects the audience of the movie to give a fuck about any of the characters, right?
Yeah, no, I know.
And again, if it was stupid, and the movie knew that it was stupid, and it was just like, look how stupid this is, maybe I could be laughing at or with it. But that isn't happening, at least not yet.
Yeah, it just the whole idea of the movie that we live in a universe where there are, there's a whole culture and legend of, puppets in this house, and it's university funded. It's just such a bizarre idea for a movie if you stop and you think about it. I don't know.
Steve Wells played the Andre Toulon. They couldn't afford to get Mickey back again. But
that's the other bizarre thing, is that the first movie literally had an Academy Award nominated actor. None of these actors probably even work anymore that we're watching right now.
Steve Wells plays Andre Toulon, and I'm going to say that maybe a third of this 88-minute movie is him explaining the plot to the puppets. There's not even another person that can give dialogue in the room. It's this fucking guy standing there looking like Darkman, as you correctly pointed out.
Yeah.
Talking to his puppets who can't talk back. And that the first couple times it happens, I was like, oh, that's irritating, but at least they got that exposition out of the way. Now they can go back to the slasher movie. And then they would cut back to him, and he would give another speech. And then they would cut back to him, and he would give another speech. And then they would cut back to him, and I could feel the muscles in my body starting to tighten. I was getting mad. I was like, stop.
Yeah.
Stop, please. Yeah. I don't ask for very much. This could be a really dumb, weakly acted, half-assed executed, sleazy slasher horror movie, and I'd be like, you know what? It is what it is. It delivers the goods. But I can't make that argument here.
I don't know. I agree. There's very little energy to this movie. I'm still kind of wrapping my brain around the fact that we're having a conversation about a movie in which there's a world in which puppets exist, and
I'll watch Bubba Hotep. I'll watch Rubber. There is no premise too stupid for me not to give you a chance.
Yeah, but it just seemed... I don't know.
The payoff at the very, very end, when we actually see some of these doll puppets come to life, the look of them is uncanny to the level of creepy, which would, it had a place to go. It could have had an effective chilling, but by the time, even if the ending had wall-to-wall work, which I'm not going to argue it did, by that point, I was so irritated by the movie, I don't think they were going to salvage it, but the chances of it were there. Like I said, if you read a synopsis of this movie and saw a picture of the doll woman at the end of this movie, you would think, this movie looks kind of creepy and weird, and you would be wrong.
Yeah. I just can't believe it. People made this movie.
Well, I'm not throwing in the towel yet. I'm not saying oh God, but I'm going to hope that the series hasn't found its feet yet, and that maybe when another writing team is we're gonna find our leprechaun in space.
Yeah. But what is it about? People love this whole idea about killer puppets as a real thing. What is it about that?
2 movies in so far, I have no answer. I mean, maybe aesthetically the puppets quote unquote look cool. Maybe I don't necessarily think so. I think they kind of look goofy.
Yeah.
And I other than the first movie, the guy who was tied to the bed, I still find it hard to see them as credibly intimidating physically.
Yeah, I don't know. But there's a whole genre really of killer puppet movies. From Megan to we've had that killer teddy bear movie, and we've had puppets, we've had Chucky. What is it about killer dolls that we find fascinating?
Well, I think that the killer doll, maybe Annabelle was sort of the cursed haunted doll. I think that the killer doll thing might have been played out, and might have been played out from that episode of The Twilight Zone in the 1960s. Yeah. But I think what Megan and Nouveau Chucky has done is basically been AI, robots. Yeah. It's not about a haunted doll. It's about crazy AI. It's about robots, cyber. So it's sci-fi. It's not horror.
Yeah.
This is still putting its foot in horror, and I'm absolutely okay with that.
Yeah.
But the movie needed to move at twice the pace it was going. I understand you're working with new actors, and I understand that it's like I say, they hamstring themselves by this budget. It's a big, ambitious movie, and they don't have enough money to make it. So right away, they're trying to overcome that when the cameras, even before the cameras started rolling.
Yep.
And maybe they have to learn what they can get away with and what they can't with their budget. And where do they spend the movie? Because the money in the movie, because it feels like they're concerned more about the running time. They have to get this to 85 or 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And they don't care how particularly good those 85 or 90 minutes are. They can afford maybe 10 minutes of good puppet stuff. And the rest of the movie they're going to fill up with whatever they can think of. And not, it seems, with a lot of effort or verve put behind it at all.
Yeah.
It really didn't feel like they did a lot of takes. I was like, really? Was that was the best version of that scene that you could do on that day? Okay. I've made micro-budget movies. I've watched lots of micro-budget movies. I can cheer for you and be on your side. Nobody wanted to be there for this movie. I really didn't feel the love. Even Steve Wells, the Andre Toulon guy who monologued through most of this movie, I have to believe it's brutal.
Yeah,
and if he didn't know it, then man, that's the only thing that could make this more sad for him.
Honestly, he went on and on and on. That really did nothing to the plot. What is he even describing to the puppets?
What his plan is.
Yeah.
Where he came from. Why he loves his wife and what he's going to do with his wife.
It's word salad.
All of which we can intuit from what he's doing.
Yeah.
All of which the puppets are going around killing people for him, so we know that,
Yeah. But it's word salad. Honestly, try and think back to what everything he said in that movie.
No, it's nonsense.
It's almost like a Tragically Hip song.
There is a scene in the halfway point of the movie where the puppet that shoots fire, Torch, did he call him?
Yeah.
I'd say he's Torch. Comes upon this obnoxious little boy who is whipping his toy, pretending it's a Nazi and whipping it.
Yeah.
And I think this is a bizarre scene. And then I started thinking, kill the kid.
Yeah.
Kill the kid. I even was chanting that to you as we were watching the movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, am I bloodthirsty? Do I want them to kill a kid? No. But this would be one thing that they could do in the movie that would have actual balls, right? And they don't pull the trigger on it. They imply that the doll is about to kill the kid, and they don't show it. So no corpse, no body. And then at the reveal at the end, some of the stuff they collected were from animals instead of people. So you can decide whether or not that kid was killed. But in movie language, I say if they didn't show the thing happen, it didn't happen. It's not the kind of movie that would spare us that. If you're going to have the scene with the Nazi kid whipping his toys, follow through with it, man. Go all the way. Somebody fucking flinched. If they'd have shown that kid get lit up, it would not have made the movie better. But instead of me talking about it as another negative, I would have been saying, well, there was that one scene where they really kind of went for it. There was no one scene where they really kind of went for it. There was no scene where I believed anything that came out of any character's mouth. And I know for the people saying, but Larry, it's Puppet Master too.
Yeah.
I have to invest minimally. I have to. I love the Tremors movies, and in the Tremors movies there's scenes of badly handled exposition as well. But usually I find the characters funny or amusing, or I find the tone of the movie kind of like, it knows that it's a funny, goofy movie. This doesn't know that it's a funny, goofy movie. In fact, it's trying to be a straight-faced horror movie, and it sucks at it. That's how I feel.
No argument there. No, I don't know what else to say. It's just, I could not care less. This person doesn't know how to write characters at all. The acting is all flat. The pace is very slow.
I really thought maybe watching it with you, we would get into it more, and it would become a more fun experience.
I'm starting to get worried, Larry. I'm starting to get worried.
I don't know. This is all your fault, Beckmann.
I'm sorry.
Good enough.
Yep.
Herr Toulon has developed a method of animating his puppets without string. It's as if they were alive.
If Stein is even half right, this could be very important to my work.
This is one of the puppets I was telling you about.
No!
Elsa, take what you want, you bastards, and get out of here.
That would be you, puppeteer.
Hunter!
Put him into the second car, take him to Gestapo headquarters, and put the toys in with the toy maker.
Never knew a man who played with dolls before.
Herr Toulon has escaped your custody. We are very close to finding him.
No thing will stop me from seeking you out. And you will cry me mercy. And I will have none.
Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge, is a prequel. And I right away, I guess I like that. We talk about how they've been ambitious with, like, big projects but small budgets. Now we're adding this extra layer of being this historical thing with Nazis and but I do appreciate finally getting into the origin of the puppets and getting to know them individually. It's kind of ridiculous to me that it's the third movie in which this is happening. Like, the Leech Woman was introduced and killed, and now we know that she was, like, basically the incarnation of Toulon's wife.
Yep.
Like, maybe our problem that we're having with this series, other than that it's not so great so far, is that we need to, like, become acclimatized to it, and we need to know it. So when we go back and we rewatch the old Puppet Masters, they're good. Maybe they're one of these things that you just needed to discover when you were at that right age and you found it at a legit video store on VHS. I don't want all of these 12 reviews to be about hate. And I was sort of feeling that with Puppet Master 2. I found more to like in Puppet Master 3. It's a better movie, but I'm not enthusiastic about it either. Here's what it managed to do that Puppet Master 2 didn't for me. I wasn't mad at it at any point particularly. And I laughed. I whether purposefully or not is debatable, but I laughed a couple of times, and in that way was enjoying myself. So it's an upgrade. We go to Nazi Germany. Toulon is running a puppet show, but a really cartoonish, like enjoyably cartoonish, cartoon-voiced, like Marvin Martian Nazi.
Yes. Those Nazis, they are evil.
Yeah.
They are evil, I tell you.
And they do the right move with the Nazis in that they are absolutely cartoon, ridiculous Nazis. Like, we're not asked. It's in tune with the talking, moving puppet universe. Although they don't talk, but the moving puppet universe that, yeah, the everything about this is cartoonish. We get the puppets right away. The action moves a lot swifter than the previous entry, and the exposition is not just one guy talking endlessly to a bunch of dolls. So, in many ways, it's an improvement, but I'm trying to talk myself into getting excited about the Puppet Master series, and so this isn't the movie that's done that for me. But I'm trying to light a candle as opposed to curse the darkness. So, where do you land on Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge, brother?
Well, I do think it's miles better than the first two. I think we're also starting to see what works and what doesn't with the Puppet Master movies. I sort of wonder, though, if they would have been more successful if they would have been short stories and anthology movies. There does seem to be a little bit of padding, more with the first two than the first one. This one moved, like, it was edited a lot more professionally. I do really like the director. I know you and I were sort of texting back and forth, but the guy's name is David Ducato, and I do have my summer viewing all lined up now. This guy also did Sorority Babes in the Slime Bowl-orama.
Yes.
Slime Bowl-orama.
Which is apparently getting a sequel.
Yeah, Nightmare Sisters, and Beach Babes from Beyond. I saw all these trailers and went, yes, sir. Can I please have some more? I remember seeing Creepazoids as a kid, but have no memory of it. But this is this guy's big claim to fame. He's a B-movie director who knows what he is, and this isn't his last Puppet Master movie. He did a couple more after this. So
I think he's a quantity over quality man, though. Like, can I make my next project? What am I working on next? When can I get on the set next? And I can respect the work ethic, but I've seen enough shitty David DeCoteau movies to know that he's been on sets a lot of days as the director, the controlling creative force, and not gave a shit. And I cannot respect that. And anyone who has that many entries in his catalog, like I've said many times before, a stop clock is right twice a day. He's entering into a pre-existing franchise. He didn't write the script. He knows how to shoot things quickly and efficiently. He does the job, but he doesn't have a look. He doesn't have a presence. He just has a large and interesting catalog. I guarantee you the trailer for Creepazoids and the trailer for Sorority Girls in the Bolorama is significantly more enjoyable than the experience of the films themselves. But this is my opinion. I do not typically go to the school of trauma where it's like, look at how cheap and bad our movie is. Brendan and I reviewed a movie of his called Grizzly Rage, which is one of the worst movies I've ever reviewed on the podcast. So I can't call myself a fan. I can respect anybody who's made as many movies as he has, and he must just be willing to work cheap and quick. And like, he's a journeyman director, but I don't feel his creative voice behind it. I just feel a guy calling action and cut and good enough.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm sure you're right. I haven't seen any of these movies. I just went, oh my, this seems like fun.
It's a superficially impressive resume. I mean, no, it's just an impressive resume. He's been working consistently for decades. He's made a lot of movies. But the percentage of good to bad, I argue, of what I've seen has been unworthy. But
Fair enough.
But going to this particular movie, I do think it was probably a hired job, and I think he did okay with it. Like, it feels less slapdash in a lot of ways than the first two. It has winks of, like I say, that Raiders of the Lost Ark Nazi vibe, but like, considering how irritated I was by the previous entry, the fact that I'm comparing this to the vibe, at least, of a Spielberg movie says something. We do get proper gore effects. We do start to know the puppets a little bit.
We do, and I think that's where we're starting to see what I suspect will be the sort of consistencies going forward, that this guy sure has a thing for Nazis, Charles Band. Although Nazis really are Hollywood's greatest villains. You know, they kind of go in cycles. Sometimes it's Arabs, whether it's from Iraq or Iran, or sometimes it's black people. Right now it's white men. They're the sort of easily common enemy. Then it's dinosaurs or aliens. But Nazis seem to consistently be the ones that Hollywood likes to see the bad guys. And I mean, I get it. Nazis are bad.
Yeah. And they have their own uniform and their own, like, stamp that we can just say, bet. And you can have performances like that guy I'm talking about, who sounded just like a ridiculous cartoon, you know? Like, he's just like a seething... He loves being a Nazi so much, he can hardly contain himself, and it's kind of funny.
Which actor are we talking about?
That's the guy who's initially spying on the puppet show, and...
that guy, yeah.
He's a big cartoon character. He kind of leaves the movie about halfway through, and I felt his loss. I also appreciated that the movie, I mean, maybe this is shallow of me, but the movie opened with gore. Like, right away, there's a dude on an operating table being, like, mad scientist to death. And they're experimenting, trying to create zombies, which I think, piques my interest right away. But...
Yeah. No, one of the things the third one gets right is that I found the second one pretty toothless in the violence and gore department, and this is just sort of baseline for at least for me for an exploitation movie. If you're going to make an exploitation movie, you got to bring the gore, and I hate to say it, but you got to bring the T and the A. It's just one of those. It's a DNA things. You can criticize it, you can get mad about it, but why are we really here?
Yeah.
If we're watching exploitation cinema.
I did want to talk about the breasts because, we're here. The nudity, we established in the first Puppet Master, like with the horny psychic, right? That this was part of the environment, but they kind of walked away from it a little bit. I don't understand. I absolutely understand including nudity in your movies as a selling and a marketing point and the forbidden nature of horror, as we've talked before. But I don't understand, and I've seen it a lot of times in horror movies and a lot of times in weird action movies, where you have this villainous character who's usually ugly and fat and smoking a cigar, and you can just see grease dripping off of him with naked, beautiful women draped all over him. Like, the presence of that dude kind of takes the eroticism down several notches. And then seeing him actually having sex with another person, again, we're getting the nudity, but we're not getting eroticism. There's nothing to get off on here. So the nudity is really just nudity. And again, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds with this, but like I say, if you're going to have nudity in a film, like when the director who did Slumber Party Massacre was hired, she was told there have to be nudity in this film. Like, it was part of the contract, and I assume it was part of it here. How do you insert it into the movie in a way that either is practical and makes sense? Hence, in the movie I'm talking about, a bunch of girls talking to each other in a shower. Or in a way that is titillating or sexy that moves the movie forward. I get those first two choices. I don't always get this one, and it's not uncommon. We see this sort of thing a lot.
Yeah.
The ugly guy with the pretty girls, the hobo with the shotgun, that stone cold action movie, naked women as decorations in the villain's lair. It's just strange.
Fair enough. I mean, really, how it's shot is we're really looking at the woman and her breasts. Was it erotic? Yeah, neither here nor there. When it happened, it was like, okay, here's this scene.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the story, although simpler, is a lot more engaging. I mean, it is essentially a revenge. It's a revenge story where, not that I found the first story overly complicated, but there were some moving parts. I can barely remember the second story. I just remember it being toothless, and that it had this villain that just went on and on and on, and it was just word salad.
It was a Bond monologue, that movie.
Yeah.
This movie had working parts. Toulon's wife was murdered by Nazis. He resents that, and it sort of builds in this. Maybe he's like a bit of a mad scientist or whatever, but it feeds into the origin of the puppets.
Well, it does, and he does become. I think he becomes a monster. That scene where he does create Leech Woman, and she's and the puppet is like thriving around. I kind of felt. Since the first movie, I found that scene kind of disturbing and tragic. And to me, that was the scene where Toulon was becoming this monster, but was made this monster by the Nazis killing his wife and all these other things. And at that point, I'm kind of went, am I actually engaged with the Puppet Master movie? Oh my god.
I want to get to where you are, is my problem. Yeah. See, I watched that scene and I saw that they were going for that, but I didn't feel that. I kind of just sort of watched it and nodded along. But I wasn't mad at it, which I guess is an improvement.
Yeah, and then the boy showed up.
Right.
And there was this scene right off the bat where I thought, oh, this kid's going to die. This kid's going to die badly. And then I went, you go, movie. You go hard. Kill that kid. And they never did, at least not in this film. But it was just sort of like, if they kill this kid, I'm going to like this movie a hell of a lot more. And I thought it was going that way. And there was nothing wrong with the performance. I mean, with the kids, Aaron Eisenberg, who has since passed on, I thought he was fine for what he did. I do think they had a better cast. Take nothing away from the actors, except for William Hickey.
They had to replace him, obviously.
Yeah,
There's also, I watched the Good Bad Flicks sort of discussion about it. I don't want to say that I noticed this, but apparently they've already screwed up the continuity here.
Yeah.
This is purported to have happened before the events, or I guess portrayed in the first movie. So technically by the dates given here, he's already committed suicide. So
yeah.
Whoops. But to be honestly, I wasn't paying close enough attention to clock that myself.
No,
so.
neither did I. I only read about that later, but it's like, ooh. But, I mean, I'll give a shout-out to Richard Lynch, who I think we've actually talked about before on your podcast. He might have even gotten a Cole Hauser Rankin Review award. If not, shout-out to Richard Lynch. Do you remember a film called Bad Dreams?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's the bad guy in that. He's the bad guy in Sword the Sorcerer. He was also the villain in Invasion USA, that great canon classic. Usually cast as villains.
Well, he's weird because he's the bad guy, but he's constantly eating shit because he fails the whole movie, and he's getting yelled at from his boss, and he's eating shit. And we don't exactly feel bad for him, right? He's this Nazi, but he's also the closest thing to a true protagonist because we don't spend a lot of time with Toulon.
No, we don't. Also, shout out to Sarah Douglas, even though she's not in the movie a whole bunch. People our age might know her as Ursa from Superman 2. Also appeared in Beastmaster 2. But it was nice to see her sort of in a different role. She usually is cast as sort of cast iron bitch villain, but here she's quite a sweet character.
Right.
It was nice to see her. But yeah, I just thought they had a strong... even the other actor who played Toulon, I've got his name here. He was a big stage actor. He was in a film called Ivanhoe that I saw. Guy Rolfe, that's his name. He was actually pretty good as Toulon too, and I enjoyed his character arc from sweet-natured man to man who's sort of turned into a monster, and even towards the end of the film, starts to show some real viciousness to it. He's still our hero, but you sort of get the impression that he's going down a path in which he'll never quite return.
Right.
Hated the ending, and this is why once again I thought I'm really liking this movie, and it does a weird time jump.
Yeah.
The 3/4 mark where I went, what? What's going on? And and then also it's this like 10-year jump almost, where then we finally see Toulon get revenge on our antagonist. But then the movie keeps on going and says, there's more, dun dun dun, in Puppet Master 4. Which, I mean, I should have seen coming, and it's not like... I still remember Tara Jones, when she and I went, our good friend Tara Jones, she had no idea that Lord of the Rings was going to be, like, there's 2 other movies coming.
Right.
So we saw that together, and then that movie ends, and she goes, wait, there's more? Which, this movie ends, and I'm like, we don't get closure? Sort of?
No, I think this is something that the movie medium has over television that needs to be celebrated, and it's starting to be lost in the age of cinematic universes. But you don't spend your movie setting up the next movie, and at the risk of sounding condescending, have a fucking ending.
Yeah.
If you don't have an ending to your movie from the start when you start shooting, shame on you. That said, I'm trying to be nicer about this entry of Puppet Master, and I'm trying to reattune myself to it, because I don't want to be all about hate. I don't want this podcast to be boring to listen to. So I'm looking for a way into the Puppet Master universe, and I found this episode to go down significantly easier.
Yeah.
I think even than the first one. They've calmed down with the score a little bit too. They're committed to the Puppet Master theme, but it's not like omnipresent anymore, which I am so grateful to.
No, I agree. The music, that was just something else that this film vastly improved on, was the score. Yes, we have the Puppet Master theme at the beginning, and I almost feel like this is going to be like that Monty Python joke where it's not funny for the first 8, but by the 10 we've been driven mad and found funny. But yeah, as you mentioned earlier, I did enjoy the backstories of a lot of these puppets that I think some people must enjoy. We get to see the creation of Blade, and I do like the idea that these things are born out of other people's trauma. That these spirits, whether it's and using this green fluid, have to give themselves over. That they have to want revenge or want to be puppets. That I found is quite a tragic, creepy idea. I just felt the love in this movie. You know, you talked about how there are people that make movies and it's just it's for hire. There's no love. This one felt like there was some actual care, and that with the screenplay and with the directing and with the editing and the lack of that score, and they brought the gore back.
Yeah.
So I actually felt some love. I don't want to oversell Puppet Master 3.
Well, I'm just going to say it. You're overselling Puppet Master 3. But the acting is better. The special effects are better. The gore is better. Things are getting better. So I move forward hopeful. But we've spent over 20 minutes on Puppet Master 3, and it doesn't deserve that.
Yeah, I do like that spider, the six-armed puppet as well. I thought that was
the six-shooter cowboy dude. Yeah, he was new at least.
I think he's actually called. Yeah. And I'm starting to remember the names of all the puppets, like Blade and Screwhead.
Well, that's the thing, dude. 3 movies in, we're finally allowed to get to know them.
Tunneler, that's right. And I
Tunneler.
do think that they are going to be like the stars going forward. So, and the puppet animation seems to be improving as well. Like they really like to show that like that six-shooter and what he could do. I thought that was neat as well. So I imagine a lot more Nazis' death, a lot more Nazi violence. So we're gonna, and there's that subgenre of Nazis dying badly. I suspect we'll get a lot more of that going forward, and a lot more of the puppets. That's what I'm guessing.
Only time will tell.
The magic that gives my puppets life was stolen from a tribe of ancient Egyptian sorcerers who pledged their allegiance to the demon lord Sutek.
What Tulan stole from me, we must recover. Now, their only hope lies in Andre Tulan's deadliest puppet.
All right, we've arrived at Puppet Master 4. And, well, here's the thing. Like, I've been a little bit worried that I'm going to be this big grumpy Gus through this whole Puppet Master thing.
I've noticed that.
And I don't want to be that guy. So when I start out by saying Puppet Master 4 is a bad movie, I don't want you to flee the interview.
Sure.
Puppet Master 4 is a bad movie, but it's much closer to a bad movie that I can get behind than some of the bad entries that we've talked about so far.
Okay, fine. Yes. Yeah. That's okay.
It's directed by Jeff Burr this time, and it's got a bunch of people credited for the screenplay, but we're not here expecting high art. Like, if you're still here for Puppet Master 4, I mean, you're committed to the bit.
Yeah.
And it starts, like, in hell, and there's this big puppet monster talking to these guys.
Hell, I thought it was another dimension. Like, that was the first question I had for you, but continue.
Okay, well, tantamount to the same thing. They're these demonic, figures that are reaching out into our world, and they control these little avatar, meat-looking puppet creatures. And for the interest of budget,
they're called totems.
Totems, yes. But for the sake of the budget, all of the evil totems look exactly the same, so they don't have to design a bunch of puppets.
No.
It's 1993 now, and instead of in that awkward sort of changeover between the 80s and the 90s, I feel now we're firmly set into the 90s and into this sort of really, enjoyably cheesy retro feel. The main character developing his laser tag technology, and
I know.
that.
I didn't know whether to laugh or cry.
Yeah, the one guy who's got that towering beehive hairstyle that was confused for cool for a brief time in the early 90s.
Ice Baby.
Ice Baby, indeed. But here's the thing. I smiled at that puppet and laughed at the cheesy dialogue, and I enjoyed how stupid and 90s that guy was. And I kind of thought it was, like, bad and stupid that, like, he finds the serum, he brings these puppets to life so that he can play laser tag with them.
I know.
Like, the movie's... I'm gonna say it. It's my favorite one that we've watched so far.
See, that makes me so happy.
I'm not saying it's good, Lee. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it's the favorite one that I've watched so far.
Alright, so I want to shout out the puppetry effects of David Allen, because I do agree with you that they use the puppets the best in this movie, and it is getting closer to what I want out of a Puppet Master movie, because I think the puppet on puppet violence is kind of a lot of fun in this movie. I also want to shout out the death of Ash Adams, who plays that preppy, really awful second wheel. He has a great death with one of these totem puppets, where it's a combination of him grabbing and like Ed Wooding it, like throwing it back and forth and like editing. That made me smile. The plot is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Well, and apparently this was a bigger script that got cut in half.
Yeah.
I guess part 5 was originally the concluding act of this movie. But
Yeah, see, I was all expected to have more Nazis, and we get like a little bit of a shout out, and we get a montage of 3. These two are really like, this and 3 are completely night and day. I ran hot and cold on the sort of like the new narrative of like, they're either Egyptian gods or aliens. Surtek or Satek, that was the naked evil protagonist who, I have to admit, every time he was on, I was looking for his alien junk. I feel so bad for that.
hey, we all have our things.
I couldn't stop staring, because clearly he was like this naked villain, and of course I couldn't take it seriously, so I thought, this is where we are, Puppet Master 4.
Well,
we have a naked antagonist shouting out, orders at other minions to go in, and they're a threat. Like, that was the other thing. I thought, for the first time, there's really some, like, threat to some of these puppets. The totems can move and, like, rip things off people. Like, that impressed me.
Well, a lot about it is kind of maybe accidentally kind of clever. I think it's kind of cool that the big bad is a literal puppet in the Puppet Master franchise, and that he is reaching into the real world from his and moving the puppets around, trying to affect our world. Like, it literally makes use of the Puppet Master name in that way, and the fact that it is executed with a literal puppet and not like, it might as well be a Muppet, right? But if we were asked to take it seriously. And this is the thing that I think this movie has done better than any of the other Puppet Master movies. It is not asking us at any point to take it seriously.
Absolutely.
And thank you. Thank you. Even in the previous, like, Nazi one where I was, like, trying to make excuses for it, like, it was still being a pretty straight-faced revenge story, right?
Yes.
And, like, the fact that it took the third movie to give us the origin of the puppets and let us get to know them a little bit. This movie is trying stuff, and it doesn't seem to care about what came before it. All it wants to do is just keep busy. So, yes, the puppets play laser tag. And I don't know, like, it's not good, but it's so much more watchable than the other ones have been, and it's like on the right mood. Like, this is getting closer towards the Leprechaun franchise. When you and I talked about the Leprechaun franchise, a lot of those were bad movies, but if you're in a mood for a bad movie, watch those movies, because they're kind of good bad movies.
Yeah.
I think this one's competitive with those.
Yeah, no, I couldn't decide whether they were jumping the shark with this whole intergalactic alien thing, but the fact that we got these rather impressive puppets out of it made me smile, and we saw like these two sides. There was two armies of puppets fighting each other. Like, at one point there is almost like this, slappity of the arm fight between these two different puppets, and I thought, this is what I've been waiting for. This right here. If we had some more like outrageous jokes what the movie was trying, I could really get behind the Puppet Master series. So I agree that this is a step in the right direction, question mark.
Yeah. There's still problems. Some of the acting is not very good.
I would say from our leads, it's not very good at all.
And they have this need with the puppets when they're on screen to always make them vocalize, even though they don't talk as a rule.
Yeah.
But especially the six-shooter guys are always, ha, 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 ha. And it got on my nerves. I don't know, like, it's just like, just be silent. We have learned in the horror genre, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, shut the fuck up and stab things.
Yeah.
Here's the other question. What did you think about them being used as quote-unquote the good guys in this movie? I mean, our puppet. I mean, I know that the demon puppets or the totems are bad, obviously, but it seems like the puppets in this ones are being used for good.
Well, they're there to at least stop the evil aliens. The puppets have always been sort of tools to the real bad guy anyways, so yes, they are like the mini antagonists, but they are in essence puppets, and whoever controls them, if they're good, they're good, they're bad, they're bad. I also want to do a shout out to character actor Felton Perry, who we talked about in the Dirty Harry series. He was one of those black actors that was either a partner and got shot, but kept on reoccurring somehow.
Okay.
He's good as Dr. Baker. There we go. That's the other name I wanted to shout out. I was like, hey, he's one of those guys.
Yeah, I think I might have recognized his face, but not actually put together where I'd seen him from.
Well, the human IMDb has said that we actually talked about him during Dirty Harry. He was one of those character actors. And,
right, he played the pimp in one, and he played the... Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And, he was not bad in the theater world for a good 10 years. He was just one of those working actors that got a lot of, hey, you guy characters, but also did his theater. He's one of the gooders, what can I say?
I feel like the score is less obtrusive this time.
Yes.
But they still are committed to the Puppet Master theme. But it's not this omnipresent sort of tone that goes through the entire movie.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that about it. And I honestly do feel like, I'm not overselling it. I keep saying that it's not a good movie, but that I had kind of like fun watching it. There's something about the 1993 specificity of this production that kind of hit me in the feels a little bit.
Okay.
This sort of direct-to-video aesthetic that was being all hip and now, and when we were in high school at the time this came out, right? This is the sort of vibe we would have been very susceptible to, Like I say, I remember going to see, just being a good little consumer, going to see The Craft at the Midtown Mall.
Yeah.
And then going to the store and buying the soundtrack to The Craft. And the 90s-ness of that movie still is something that I can welcome. And I feel that here. It's not hiding. It's not a period movie. It's not a, like... They're not going back in time to play the Nazi card again, although I know they're going to do a lot of that going forward. I don't necessarily feel we need the extra layer of Nazi. The whole thing is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even though they're cartoon Indiana Jones Nazis, I think that the evil puppets were probably enough.
Yeah. No, you can only do so much with Nazi porn.
And, like, it's downplayed in this. There's not as much in it. But here's the other thing, that there's not as much in this episode that might have been missing. Can you guess what that is?
No.
Sexuality.
Yeah, there is. There is no nakedness.
It's not, like, I guess, required, but it has been established in the franchise that's a card that gets played. We don't have a lot of psychic people, and we don't have a lot of sexuality in this.
We have one psychic person.
Right, but like it's not, the plot's not running that engine. We're fighting these totems and the parallel universe demonic whatevers, right?
Yeah.
So they consciously changed things up for part 4. And some people I can say, oh no, they're wrecking this. Why are the puppets good now? Where's my titty? Burr, 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 burr. Some people might consider that a complaint, Friday the 13th Part 6 has very little sexuality to it, very little nudity to it, but I still think it's one of my favorite entries of the franchise. But I just wanted to flag it. If you're expecting some TNA in this film, you will be disappointed. But they kind of compensate by giving us much more puppets.
Yeah, well, and I think that is what we're here for.
Exactly.
That is what we're here for.
Yes, and like I like that. I honestly, 80 minutes is fine. If your budget's that modest and the story you're telling is that modest, don't overstay your welcome. Don't drag things out needlessly. I would rather watch a good short film than a bad long one.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to say about Puppet Master 4? Have we covered it?
I think that is pretty much the Bible of Puppet Master 4.
Am I sounding slightly more positive, or at least a little less like a fucking asshole?
You're not sounding grumpy, but I think you're being realistic. It's Puppet Master 4. Naked demon puppet.
I feel like if someone listened to the podcast and they were a fan of the franchise, they would have not made it to this review.
I think if you lead in with naked demon puppet, people will come.
Yeah. Come for the whole gang, but stay for the naked demon puppet.
The others, are they still in the hotel?
Just pick up anything that looks like a puppet.
Something's not right.
One will stop at nothing to capture the puppets.
Hey, you think these things are dangerous?
Oh, please, not ridiculous.
The other will unleash the forces of darkness to destroy them all.
Oh, you are beautiful.
We have their magic. They're gonna keep coming until they get it back or until they're stopped.
Oh my god.
So, Puppet Master 5. I might have got my hopes a little bit up in Puppet Master 4, maybe reasonably or unreasonably so, but I found out from our good friends at Good Bad Flicks, right, that these two movies, 4 and 5, were actually originally going to be one movie. So instead of making this one, maybe too big, over-bloated Puppet Master movie, they made two Puppet Master movies that don't really make a whole lot of sense. As much as I made excuses for the previous entry, a lot of what goes on in Puppet Master 5 has to do with people looking for people, although they don't know why, and then finding people and being surprised to see them. This happens several times throughout the movie. Where are the puppets? I need to find the puppets. Oh, puppets, what are you doing here? Now let's split up. Now I need to find the puppets. Same thing happens with the romantic lead. I gotta find my girlfriend. She's here somewhere. He finds her. What are you doing here? And I can feel the main actor trying to add stakes and trying to add, momentum to all of these things that are going on. But because this has been cut apart, I think, from a different narrative and has now been re-spliced together into this Frankenstein monster, the movie just front to back doesn't make sense. So then we have to fall back on, do we get good puppet action? Well, we see the puppets.
We do.
We see the puppets more than usual, but most of the time we see them, they're standing there doing their They just move their they move their hands and they make these weird little noises, and then they're directed to go to a different room.
There's lots of hand gestures and bowing and lots of hip shaking. I will grant you that.
So I came into this one hopeful because I was getting, I was starting to get the feels in the second one, and then I just started feeling trolled again. They almost had a sex scene. And it wasn't that I was
there's a lot of cock teasing in this movie.
Thank God we finally have a sex scene. I was complaining in the previous movie that was sort of the titillation factor had exited the movies, whether it was needed or not. And this movie just trolls you. It looks like they're going to do a sex scene, but the dude is so bored with the movie that he falls asleep.
Yeah, I know, and that made me laugh.
But there are weird, micro bright spots for me. I still like the puppet demon thing down in hell, and I still think in this movie there's a kind of deliberate phallic thing happening with the puppet that he's bringing back to life.
Oh, it was deliberate in the previous entry. I'm just so glad they finally gave him, I wouldn't say pants, but at least some sort of loincloth. Although, once again, I'll credit Good Bad Flicks with this. I think it was pepperoni nipples was the line they used on Stu Tech. that doll is uncomfortably, like, just naked. And it doesn't help the fact that, like, whenever he pops his chest, whatever, it's like he's doing this weird exotic dance.
There's a weird pelvic thrust that's happening, but also the avatar puppet that he's possessing sits on a table in front of him, directly in front of his groin region. Like, it really seems like they're hitting it a little bit hard to me.
And it takes and there's a lot of padding with this movie. Like, even like when we get the whole we get the idea of what this Sutik endgame is to like create this token, whatever they're called now, but uses his essence. And even that sort of exorcism scene where he brings him to life takes so long. It's the first half an hour of the movie intercut with the narrative with the puppet master and his puppets. It takes forever. And there's a 5-minute recap of the earlier movie.
I was going to say that the note of things going on too long can go every scene of the movie, right? And the recap is particularly embarrassing, especially because we just watched the movie recently. So it's like, yeah, you're just spinning your tires. But every scene does seem to go on too long. Even we have a cameo from genre veteran Clu Gallagher. He's credited as Man 2, and they seem to be this sort of weird Men in Black cabal of people that know about the evil puppets and whatnot, and they have this conversation. And I like Clu Gallagher. It's kind of cool to see him, but he has nothing to do in the movie. He doesn't have any impact on the movie, and his scene goes on for kind of a long time.
Yep. No, there's whole narratives that are just brought in and then left completely alone. Ron O'Neill, Mr. Original Superfly, shows up as a police detective who tries to pin all these murders on her puppet master, and then he's released from prison, and nothing is ever done of this narrative or story. Once that's gone on, it's straight to the Bodega
Bay Inn. I hate to knock down one of the champions of blaxploitation, but I thought his performance as that police officer was pretty shitty, balanced by the performance of the lawyer, which was equally shitty. Like, both of those performances sucked, and both of the scripts sucked. Like, it really opened poorly. We have this really, like, not credible scene between the police and the lawyer, and then, like you say, a 5-minute recap, and then, people chasing each other around the shadows of Bodega Bay, and having conversations with puppets, and scattering and regrouping, and scattering and regrouping. And, there's to use a Matthew Risling term, there's a visceral pointlessness to this. Like, we're running around in circles, and I don't feel like... Part 4 I was kind of having a goofy, stupid fun with. This one I started to get irritated by again.
I also want to bring something to your attention, not of the narrative, but did you notice the lighting in the hotel, like in the hotel sequences?
Well, it's weird because the production value seems to be a little bit better than some of the earlier Puppet Masters, but that base level incompetence is still there. But what are you directing to? What are you talking to directly there? Like,
I encourage you to go back to the sequences where they're at night and they're at the hotel and look at what they've splashed across the walls with the gels. It's like empty bed frames, empty lamp posts. It just sort of gives this effect that there's a thunderstorm, or like it's this really dark and creepy place. The lighting is so bizarre, and it's actually mentioned sort of in that Good Bad Flicks podcast as well, but it is noticeable and kind of goofy when you look closely. It's, hey, that's an empty bed frame, and all they've done is put a little gel and a light on it and splashed it across the wall to give this sort of weird effect. It's, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Right.
And it's kind of funny. Anyways, it's a cheap way to get around and do some fancy lighting, sort of Charles Band circa 1990s.
What I'm missing from the Puppet Masters movies so far is, like, the light behind the eyes of the creative energy behind it. Like, if I didn't know already that this was a movie that had been cut in half and, like, they had to scramble to make this into a story just with the footage they'd made, I would have intuited that something like that had happened. Like, the movie does seem very slapdash. Even at the very end, like the peak of the movie, when the dude declares himself the new puppet master. The end theme is playing and the credits are rolling so quickly that you don't even have time to like process the win or the climax of the movie. It still doesn't feel like the people behind the production care. I'm of the opinion that the fan base of Puppet Master seems to love Puppet Master more than the creators behind Puppet Master at this point.
I don't know. I'll call pox on that notion. I do think a lot of attention was spent towards the whole idea of using the puppets, that sometimes it might have gotten in the way of any sort of cohesive story. But I guess the question I have is that we're meant that Sutek is defeated, yes? Question mark by the end of the film, because his totem is destroyed, the one that he put his life energy into.
Yes, as he narrated to us, because he was in that room by himself. But his entire life essence and power was put into this puppet, which was then sent to the Bodega Bay Inn to cause calamity.
And he tried to open a portal, and that didn't go well. Yada 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 yada. I do think actually a lot of attention. Like, I do want to shout out to David Allen and his work, because that's especially when they did like the latter half of the shooting. That's what they spent a lot of time to. I will say this is also the most star-studded affair out of the entire series. What did you think of the three henchmen that our sort of main corporate guy brings along?
Well, there was the one dude who talked like the henchman in every other, what do you want to do now, boss? I thought he kind of sucked.
Yeah.
There's that cowboy guy who looked kind of familiar, and then I finally put it together. He was one of the rapists from Pulp Fiction.
We have EQ. He's a familiar face. If you've seen like RoboCop 2 or Color Purple.
No, that's Dwayne Whitaker I'm talking about. Dwayne Whitaker's the guy I'm talking about. The cowboy dude. He was in the Shop and Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, that's right. He's the guy that gets the old samurai across the chest.
Yeah, he's keeping the gimp in his basement. Googling. At the time of this movie, I think he was just a working character actor, but Pulp Fiction was on the immediate horizon for him. And a lot of people, even if you just had like a small role in Pulp Fiction, became that guy. Who are you? I've seen you. Yeah. And I could tell that he was an actor, you know, like he wasn't just phoning it in, he was acting, but obviously his ship hadn't come in yet.
Do you recognize the other character actor, though?
The guy I was talking...
Nicholas Guest.
Okay. The guy with the weird, like, Hank Azaria accent, like the every guy bad guy.
He is the brother of Christopher Guest.
Oh, okay. Nicholas Guest, there it is. Yes. I just brought it up on IMDb. Well, honestly, he did not stand out to me. I mean, that's a fun fact, but I thought both Willard Pugh and Dwayne Whitaker had more to do and did it better.
Nicholas Guest and, well, actually all three of them did a lot of work with Full Moon, but yeah, when I found that out, I went, this person had looked familiar before, and I went, oh, I'd seen this, and seen this. I went, oh, he's Nicholas Guest, brother of Chris Guest.
Boom.
They have that familiar chin.
Right. I missed that. Maybe that would be something to notice next time. I noticed that this movie was groundbreaking in that they bravely chose to kill the black guy first. No other movie has ever done that. So.
Yeah. Hey, did we ever talk about Decapitator or whatever? The guy
Decapitron?
Too long. Decapitron.
Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned him in the previous movie, but he does show up in this one as well. Yes.
Well, he's kind of important in both of them since he's, well, A, Toulon, and B, he's the one that essentially defeats the big bad Talon in this one, the henchman.
Yeah. Again, I think it's telling that it's such an important puppet to both movies, and we're only just now mentioning it.
Wow.
Well, I mean, he's not my particularly most interesting puppet. At least, Torch and Six Shooter, or, like they have minimal personality or whatever. This guy just seems to be Toulon, and then he has, like, interchangeable robot heads that he can put on him, and I guess he's more powerful than any of the other puppets. But here's another thing that none of these movies have really succeeded in doing for me. Making the puppets intimidating or powerful. I honestly, part of me thinks that they're so locked into the stop motion animation, which when they use it does look good, that they're kind of resistant to the more puppety movements for those guys. And I think if they were willing to go a little more Muppet with them, we'd A, see them more, and B, maybe get to know them more so that we could care more.
That is true. I do agree that I think that this film series succeeds when it's with the puppets, and even if it is doing this sort of like claymation up and down kind of goofy arm action or whatever, it's part of its charm and appeal.
Yeah.
So hit on that.
The whole coma, the girl in the coma periodically waking up to yell to nobody what needs to happen next in the plot.
Yeah, once again, what is Psychic Girl doing here? But we've got to have a psychic because it's a Puppet Master movie. That seems to be a familiar staple.
I don't know. It's just bizarre to me that we can be 5 movies into a franchise and it still doesn't really... It hasn't latched onto a firm identity yet. I mean, we have a new Puppet Master and we have a cast of characters, so, like, what now, I guess. But I don't know.
This is what I've sort of seen as familiar patterns with the film series. At some point, the Bodega Bay Inn has to make some sort of appearance. There's always going to be a psychic woman. Obviously, puppets. I think at some point, Toulon is probably going to leave the narrative. He's threatened to, I'm done, I'm passing the torch to you, but...
I kind of got the feeling that Guy Rolfe did that this movie, but I could be wrong.
Anyways, those are the consistencies I've noticed with the Puppet Master movies.
Well, I think I like the puppet villain. I like that, like, they're casting better actors, but yeah, the script doesn't make sense. And I guess they did that to themselves by breaking it in half. But if they don't care that their movie doesn't make sense, then I don't know how they can expect us to care.
In all honesty, they should have gone with the original idea and just done it as a 90-minute movie.
And if they cared about the product or the fans, that's what they would have done, Lee. Am I wrong?
I think the move was made out of financial greed.
Right. Exactly. I want a movie where somebody on set gave a shit. And the cast gave a shit a little bit, but I don't think anybody behind the camera did. And that frustrates me.
I think there's I think there was some care done, at least with the puppets and somewhat, but I will...
Scene to scene, does the movie make sense?
No.
The end.
All right, fair enough.
And they knew that when they released the movie, right?
Yes.
Like, if I was to follow the main character saying this is where he went, why, and this is what his motivation was, and this is what his goal was, the movie is complete word salad.
I can see where you're coming from. Yes, there's lots of narrative threads that they could have easily cleaned up. Yes.
And they knew that. They knew it was a mess. They knew it was a mess when they made it. They knew it was a mess when they unleashed it upon the world. And as much as I want to cheer for Full Moon, and sometimes I do, the ones that I like are the ones where I believe someone gave a shit. Yes, they knew that they were making a cheap movie when they knew they didn't have the money to make it, but they put their heart into it anyway. And I just don't feel that here.
Fair enough.
Anything else you want to say about Puppet Master 5?
No, I think we've said quite a bit about Puppet Master 5.
I've come back to being an asshole again.
Chapter, they lied.
Well, yeah, this was supposed to be the final chapter, but I mean, we've been here before. Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah. I guess we'll see you for what is it next? Puppet Master Legacy? No.
We'll do
Curse of the Puppet Master is the next one. Okay. And they took 5 years off, so hopefully it's gonna be amazing.
4 years ago, they vanished without a trace. Now, Andre Toulon's puppets have found a new home and a new puppet master.
I'm Dr. McGrew. I run the marble show out on Route 23. Fastest 6 guns in the West, 6-shooter. Give me a hand, ladies and gentlemen.
Who wants to steal their secrets?
See, I've tried to duplicate that process, but I've never been able to make a living puppet.
I've come close.
To create the perfect species.
As being the Ranknreview champion and a longtime friend, I've noticed that there's been some, maybe not so much passive aggressiveness against the Puppet Master series from you. I'm just getting that vibe. I mean, there's been cancellations, sort of technological problems. I'm feeling very much like a puppet being puppeteered. So, Parsons, tell me, since we're nearly at the end of episode 1 of the Puppet Master series, how do you truly feel? Because yes, it's true. Sometimes I do want to curate your show, and yes, it's true. I don't know if I begged, but I definitely, heartily agreed doing the Puppet Master. Do you regret doing the Puppet Master series, Parsons? That is the question.
I don't know that I regret doing the Puppet Master series, but I do worry that I am, if not failing as a critic, failing the fans of Puppet Master, because I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum, and I do like really dumb, cheesy movies, and I will make apologies for really dumb, cheesy movies, but I don't know why this has been a struggle for me. This is also one of those weird reviews that happened to us 1,000 years ago when we did the Friday the 13th reviews. And there was a glitch in the Matrix. The review for Puppet Master 6, Curse of the Puppet Master, kind of got botched. So this is a sort of do-over. And I part of me wants to put a little bit of distance between the two recordings just so I'm not trying to retrace my own steps and give the same review. But I didn't want to wait so long as to have to watch the movie again or lose it, because it really wasn't staying clutched into my mind. I don't think I should feel bad because I don't enjoy the movies, but I should maybe make an effort to not be repetitive and mean about my negativity.
See, but I'm a big, you do you. If you don't like Godzilla, tell me how you really feel about Roland Emmerich's Godzilla.
But again, if someone spends $200 million and uses a licensed property and, it's Roland Emmerich with, all of the bells and whistles and the very best Hollywood has to offer, yeah, I'm going to be harder on you. Whether that's fair or not, I'm going to be harder on you. But I can't be too easy on these Puppet Master movies necessarily, too, because I mean, obviously things change as time goes on and we get deeper into a series, but usually I find I feel like I get more. They sort of become more desperate to please us, so we get more and more of what they think we want. Whereas I honestly feel 6 movies in now, if we were to cut together all of the puppet footage, not counting the reused stuff, we'd have maybe half an hour in 6 movies.
Okay, fair enough. I say this because Curse of the Puppet Master is a bit of a departure. There's no Andre Toulon. It's very different. Not that this series is really great on continuity, anyways, but this is different from the storylines that we've been getting prior.
Of course. And after the big 2-part, let's make what was one movie into 2 so that we end up with our brand new Puppet Master. I mean, I don't know if disappointed is the right word, but the fact that the next movie that follows it completely seems to abandon that is frustrating. And our new lead character is this dude Tank, who's got this Palooka vibe, right? He's tough, but he's not super. He doesn't have a lot of sort of fast internal clock. He seems to be kind of still waters run deep kind of gentleman.
Sure. That's being kind, but okay.
And he also gets wrapped up with this new Puppet Master. How he got the puppets, why they're all back, we don't know. Presumably, maybe they'll explain this or not going forward. But this new Puppet Master is again going back to being a sinister Puppet Master, and he is obsessed with the idea of putting life into the puppets, or indeed turning a person, taking a person's essence and fixing it into puppet. And his failed experiments get abandoned and burned in the woods in a very sloppy kind of manner, and again, describing the plot, you feel like there's the building blocks of something interesting here, but I can't help, at the risk of repeating myself for the 6th time, but walk away feeling kind of disappointed here.
Okay, so I'm going to agree to a point here, but finding out a little bit more about the production, this movie was shot in 8 days. Like, it was a run and gun affair. Also, George Peck, who plays our evil puppet master, who I think actually does quite well for the level of acting that we've been, asked to accept in this film series. He actually got sick for the first 3 or 4 days, and they had to shoot around him. So this production was go, 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 go. This was also the first film that was not under the Paramount banner, so their budget was drastically reduced. They didn't have all the bells and whistles that the Paramount Studios had. So,
and I understand that, like, even without the fallout of what's going on behind the scenes, the deeper into sequel land you get, you kind of expect a drop in the budget. Like, I get that. But I guess 6 movies in, I feel like I should know what to expect or want from a Puppet Master movie, and I'm not sure if I yet do.
Alright. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. It's not that this film doesn't have flaws. I also love the fact, and I discovered this last night, and I actually, when we were texting, this is based off a film called Hiss. It was a 1971.
Yeah, you watched the Good Bad Flicks documentary.
I did.
I think we should credit it if we're going to use this much out of what he's talking about.
Okay, so Good Bad Flicks, you're awesome.
Yes. Well, it's nice to hear a fan perspective on the movies, but I don't want to pretend that his perspective is ours. That's all I want to be careful of.
No, that's fine. It's just, I'm just discovering new stuff about this movie.
No.
I guess I felt a little more sympathetic for the final product. I mean, you've made a movie, and that was a long, long journey.
Yeah.
This was done at a sprint, and it had some problems. I guess I just want to acknowledge that. My criticisms haven't changed from the last now defunct recording. I still think that Tank either should have been played by an actual actor that maybe had Down syndrome, or a very, very good actor who could get away with it very credibly and take away the love story. Like, the love story with the female interest, like, it just doesn't work.
There's no chemistry there, and because of that, the love story doesn't work, and because of that, the tragedy that they're going for here doesn't work. And there's no heat or eroticism or titillation. They try for it, but it's just not there, and they must have known it.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like my gut tells me what the Puppet Master fans want are more action from the puppets. And the fact that this is once again largely recycled puppet footage leaves me a little cold.
Well, once again, I will sort of argue that's it was a budgetary issue. They didn't have the stop.
But they've already done that, right?
Yes, it is. But like I said, when you're playing in the toolbox of like a major studio with Paramount, you've got better tools. And I thought the puppets did it well enough that I could credit it as a Puppet Master movie. This is actually going to be a criticism for the next film I'm going to have. So the puppets didn't disappoint. It's just, I liked the idea of what they were going for, the sort of tragic story of sort of the downfall of Tank, if you will. But it is some like giant missteps that I think if they had more time and maybe a little more money, they could probably work out the kinks. But yes, the character of Tank is problematic, along with, I'd say, the side villains. I love George Peck as our sort of evil puppet master. He's not like a Stephen King villain, which like the sheriffs and the bullies are.
He's a mad scientist.
Yeah, he's a mad scientist, and I appreciated that angle, and I saw what they were going for. It's like your theory about movies that get remade. Remake a movie that somehow failed in execution one way or another, but you could see the good ideas there, and that's kind of where I'm sort of laying with Curse of Puppet Master, where it's not a great movie, but I like the ideas they were going for. In fact, a little bit more than, say, like the prequel stories of Andre Toulon, which we are going to see more of.
Yeah. Well, and again, I am with you in that usually I will be forgiving of a micro-budget production. You're going to have first-time actors. You're not going to be able to do several takes. You're going to have to make do with some of your special effects. There's probably going to be bad shadow, and there might even be sound issues. And all of that I would look over if the movie made any fucking sense. Why do the bullies bully the tank guy? Why is there no sexual interest between he and a woman who is aggressively pursuing him? Why is the puppet master evil and want to turn him into a puppet? And why, when the puppets turn, do they turn on their master? Like, what is the thing that initiates that? These are plot points that don't have anything to do with your budget. It has everything to do with, does your movie make sense? And I don't really care if it's Puppet Master 6, and yes, it's goofy, and it doesn't make sense. We're talking about possessed dolls.
Yep.
I want to believe that you're trying. And I have a hard time believing that, like, it's the same guy, it's Decato, whatever, David
Decato, yeah.
But he's actually used an assumed name on this project.
Yes.
So, considering the naked fucking garbage that this man has made and had his name on, I think it says something that his name isn't on this.
It was to not upset the Directors Guild. This was done, or was this a different one? I might be getting my backstories wrong. I think this one, they wanted to, like, this is an independent movie, and he didn't want to piss off the Directors Guild, hence they changed the name. They didn't use David Dakota, they used Victor Sloan. But there's your answer. As for why bullies bully, I mean, that's, hurt people hurt people. Yeah. I know we're getting into semantics here.
Victoria Sloan, yeah, that's what it says here on mine. Yeah. But yeah, it was an assumed name. And, there might have been reasons behind it. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe there is no movie so shitty that this dude won't put his name on it. But I have to say, going forward, if I see his name, my heart will sink.
Your heart's going to sink a little bit more there, buddy. I guess for me, I came here for the puppet violence. And the puppet violence was pretty good for what we've seen so far.
Eventually, maybe, kind of.
I don't know. It gets a little juicy in the latter half. I like the villain in this, but I've already said that. But yes, it has some problems, and it does feel like the red-haired stepchild of the Puppet Master series, because if there's no Toulon, none of that.
We get the origin of a new puppet, I guess.
Yes, we do.
But puppets that have been previously destroyed are back, and puppets that were okay when we last saw them are absent, and it's, I don't know, it just seems inconsistent and sloppy and thrown together. And I feel like, I don't know, the fan base deserves more than that. Say what you will about, like, weak entries of Friday the 13th, they deliver on the basic boobs, blood, Jason Voorhees, like, and that's the thing that's maybe messing me up. I feel like what I think we should be wanting to see is the puppets. But I guess because the puppets don't speak, it's kind of hard to make the movie about them and their interactions. So it's always the secondary cast, and we're just waiting for when we're going to see the puppets do their thing. And it's minimally payoff when that happens, but be real. That's what we're here for. So,
yeah, I agree. The puppets are and should be the show. I think they make a grave mistake by not having, I think, the second greatest villain puppet in cinematic history. The first being Kim Jong-il from World Police.
Yes.
There's no Sutek. It's a step down. When you have a puppet villain that wears a thong and has aggressive cherry nipples, and it's not in your movie, you're skating uphill.
Well, and I'm saying, as bad as those ones were, and I wasn't kind to them, they knew they were ludicrous and kind of bad. Whereas this movie is kind of repugnantly straight-faced. It's trying to be this tragedy.
Yeah.
It's trying to stir our emotions,
Yeah.
and it's failing.
Well, it's stirring emotions, just not the right ones.
Not the right ones. Agreed.
No, I know. But yeah, like I said, I like where it was going, but there's some problems, man. There's some problems.
I agree. Is there anything else you want to say? I will just be repeating myself, I feel.
Yes. Have faith, Larry. I feel that there will be a good Puppet Master movie somewhere in this lot.
Believe. So here today endeth the lesson on the Puppet Master. That was the first 6 Puppet Masters movies, and there'll be 6 more coming later this season. So keep your ears primed for that. How did we do? Defend your favorite puppet. Send feedback to ranknreview@gmail.com. That's ranknreview@gmail.com. Check out the website at ranknreview.ca. And please tell that movie fan in your life about the podcast. Also, do check out the Shelf Shedding Movie Show hosted by my friend Jason Dubray. And thank you so much for listening. As always, this is your host, Canadian Larry Parsons. And I really appreciate you.